presented by Soundlibra.com. Explore more titles via the link in the description or at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to the Negotiation Edge. Get what you want. I'm Alex.
And I'm Lisa. We are so excited to get started. Just a quick heads up before we jump in. While we're sharing strategies to help you succeed, this isn't professional legal or financial advice, so be sure to consult with a professional for your specific situation.
Great point. Negotiation isn't just for boardrooms or high-stakes deals. It's a fundamental skill for everyday life. Whether you're deciding on dinner plans, asking for a raise, or navigating family discussions, you're negotiating. Negotiation is a vital skill for everyone.
Many people hear negotiation and picture an intense, adversarial battle, assuming they have to be aggressive to win.
Exactly. And that's the first myth we need to bust. The most effective negotiation isn't about winning at someone else's expense. It's about finding mutually beneficial solutions. It's about collaboration, not combat.
So, instead of thinking of it as a fight, we should reframe it as a problem-solving exercise?
Precisely. And that reframing starts with your mindset, your inner negotiator. Believing in your right to ask for what you want, and believing that a positive outcome is possible for everyone involved. This is the foundation of everything we'll discuss.
It's like you need to adjust your internal compass before you even start talking to someone else.
You got it. A strong negotiation mindset is built on a few key pillars. First is the belief in your own value. Do you know what you bring to the table? If you don't believe in your own value, it's very hard to convince anyone else to see it. You have to be your own best advocate. Internalizing your worth before external negotiations can be truly successful.
That's a tough one. We're often taught to be humble or not to boast.
There's a time and place for humility, but not when you're advocating for yourself. Think of it this way. If you were selling a product and you didn't believe it was good, who would buy it?
So, step 1. Believe in your value. What's next?
The second pillar is what I call the abundance mentality. This is the opposite of scarcity thinking. Scarcity thinking says there's only a limited pie, and if someone else gets a bigger slice, you get less. It creates that adversarial feeling.
The zero-sum game.
Exactly. The abundance mentality, on the other hand, suggests that there are many ways to create a larger pie or to find different pies altogether. It fosters creativity and a willingness to explore options. It's about seeing possibilities, not just limitations.
So, instead of fighting over the same $1, we look for ways to make it $2 or find other valuable things that aren't just dollars.
That's a great way to put it. It encourages us to ask, what else is important here? What are the underlying needs and interests? This opens the door to creative solutions.
I like that. It sounds much more empowering than feeling like you're in a constant battle.
It absolutely is. The third key element of the negotiation mindset is preparation. And this is so crucial that it will be our entire focus in the next episode. But even in this mindset phase, you need to understand that negotiation is not improvisation. It's planned.
So, you wouldn't walk into a job interview or a sales meeting without thinking ahead.
Not if you want to be effective. Preparation involves understanding your goals, the other party's potential goals, the context, and your own alternatives. It's about doing your homework. When you're well prepared, you feel more confident, less anxious, and far more in control.
It's like knowing the map before you start a journey. You're less likely to get lost.
A perfect analogy. And finally, the fourth pillar of the negotiation mindset is a commitment to fairness and respect. Even when disagreements arise, maintaining a respectful demeanor towards the other party is vital. It preserves the relationship, which is often more important in the long run than the outcome of a single negotiation.
That ties back to that collaborative idea, doesn't it? Treating the other person as a partner in solving a problem, rather than an opponent.
Precisely. So, to recap, the core of a strong negotiation mindset involves believing in your value, adopting an abundance mentality to see possibilities, committing to thorough preparation, and maintaining fairness and respect.
And these aren't just abstract ideas. They're practical shifts in how we approach interactions. It's about moving from a place of fear or defensiveness to one of confidence and openness.
Exactly. Many people fear negotiation because they're afraid of rejection, of conflict, or of not getting what they want. But by cultivating this mindset, you start to see negotiation not as a threat, but as an opportunity to achieve better outcomes, build stronger relationships, and generally get more of what you want out of life.
It really sets the stage for everything else we'll learn. It's about building that inner confidence first.
Absolutely. And the good news is this mindset isn't fixed. It's something you can actively develop and strengthen over time with practice. Every negotiation, successful or not, is a learning opportunity.
So, if someone finds this difficult initially, that's okay?
Completely okay. It's a journey. The key is to start recognizing those automatic negative thoughts, those fears, and to consciously counter them with the principles we've discussed today. Believe in your worth. Look for opportunities. Prepare. And be respectful.
That's a fantastic starting point, Alex. So, to sum up this episode, we've learned that negotiation is a vital life skill and that a powerful negotiation mindset is our first and most important tool. It's about believing in ourselves, seeing possibilities, preparing, and fostering respect, all leading to better, more collaborative outcomes.
You've got it, Lisa. In the next episode, we're going to dive deep into strategic preparation.
Looking forward to it.
Next episode, strategic preparation, the foundation of every win. Welcome back. Last time, we unlocked the negotiation mindset. Now, let's dive into strategic preparation.
If you've gone into a negotiation unprepared, you know that feeling of being behind. Strategic preparation is our recipe for success.
A negotiation is a carefully planned strategy, not a spontaneous debate. We need a map, a compass, and a clear destination. The first step is defining our objectives.
What do we really want to achieve? How do we make that clear and actionable?
We need to set objectives that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Instead of "I want a better deal," aim for "I want to secure a 10% discount on the service contract within the next 2 weeks."
So, specific means no vagueness. Measurable means we can track progress. Achievable prevents disappointment with unrealistic goals. Relevant ties it to our needs, and time-bound gives a deadline. That makes sense.
Precisely. Within objectives, distinguish your ideal outcome, your target point, and your reservation point, the least you'll accept. Knowing these boundaries prevents accepting a bad deal or walking away from a good one.
We've defined our aims. What's next?
Understanding your BATNA. That's your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's your walkaway option, your fallback plan. What will you do if this negotiation fails?
Ah, the safety net. That sounds like it gives you leverage.
Absolutely. Your BATNA is often the source of your negotiation power. A strong BATNA means you're less desperate and can walk away from bad deal. A weak BATNA can make you vulnerable.
So, we should identify our best alternative before the negotiation. The stronger, the better.
Exactly. It's about identifying your best alternative and making it as strong as possible. This involves research. If negotiating a job offer, your BATNA might be another offer or your current job. You need to know their value.
This is like shopping for a car. If I don't know other dealerships' prices, I'm at that one salesperson's mercy. If I've researched, I have a stronger position.
That's a perfect analogy. After objectives and BATNA, research the other party. It's critical.
What information are we looking for?
Understand their likely objectives interests, priorities, and constraints. What are they trying to achieve? What's important to them? Do they have a strong BATNA? Understanding their perspective helps us anticipate their moves and frame our offers to resonate with their needs.
So, we step into their shoes to see it from their viewpoint?
Precisely. Research past deals, their business or personal situation, public information. The more you know, the better you tailor your strategy. You can anticipate objections, understand motivations, and identify potential mutual benefits.
We've defined objectives, analyzed BATNA, researched the other party. What else?
Anticipate their needs and potential objections. If selling a product, what pain points does it solve? If negotiating a raise, what arguments might your manager use against it? And how can you address them?
This is thinking ahead, like scripting responses for tough questions.
Exactly. If you foresee objections, prepare counterarguments or alternative solutions. It shows you've done your homework and are serious about resolution. It also helps manage your emotions by not being caught off guard.
So, to recap, first, define your objectives using SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Second, determine your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, your source of power. Third, research the other party, their goals, interests, and priorities. And finally, anticipate their needs and potential objections.
You got it, Lisa. This preparation is the engine that drives the negotiation. It builds confidence, clarifies strategy, and increases your chances of a favorable outcome. Well prepared, you shift the power balance from reactive to proactive. You're shaping the situation. That's the foundation of every win.
The time invested in preparation pays dividends during the negotiation. It allows for flexibility, creativity, and confidence.
Absolutely. And remember, preparation is an ongoing process. You might need to refine objectives or reevaluate your BATNA, but a solid foundation makes all the difference.
Well said, Alex. This is crucial advice for anyone wanting to improve their negotiation skills.
It really is. Next episode, we'll explore active listening. We'll learn how to truly hear what the other party is saying, and importantly, what they're not saying.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Negotiation Edge. Last time, we explored the crucial art of strategic preparation. Today, we're diving into something equally vital, the power of active listening.
That's so true, Alex. Preparation is key, but how can you truly prepare if you're not effectively listening to the other person during the negotiation itself?
Exactly, Lisa. Active listening goes beyond just hearing words to truly understanding the speaker's underlying needs and perspectives. You might be surprised at how much we miss when we're not fully engaged.
So, what's the difference between just listening and active listening in a negotiation? I usually just try to hear the main points.
Active listening is about making a conscious effort to hear the meaning, the context, and the emotions behind the words. Think of it as a full body, full mind engagement with the other person. It's about truly understanding their perspective, even if you don't agree with it.
A full body, full mind engagement. I like that. So, it's not just about waiting for your turn to speak.
Precisely. It's about gathering information. The more you understand about the other party's needs, their fears, their priorities, the better equipped you are to find common ground. Active listening helps you uncover what truly motivates the other person.
Where do we start then? What are some of the core components of active listening?
We can break it down into a few key areas. First, there's paying attention. Really paying attention. This means minimizing distractions and focusing your gaze and your energy on the speaker. It's about showing them, through your body language, that you are present and engaged.
So, nodding, leaning in a little, making eye contact, those kinds of signals?
Exactly. Those nonverbal cues communicate respect and interest. But it's more than just showing you're listening. It's about processing what you're hearing. This brings us to the second component, understanding. This involves seeking to grasp the speaker's message from their point of view.
How do we do that effectively? It can be hard to see things from someone else's perspective, especially if you think they're being unreasonable.
That's where empathy comes in. Empathy isn't necessarily agreement. It's the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. When negotiating, you're trying to understand why they want what they want, even if you wouldn't want it yourself. This helps to defuse tension because the other person feels heard and validated.
Okay, so pay attention and try to empathize. What's next?
The third component is responding. This isn't just about replying. It's about responding in a way that shows you've understood and are engaged. This can involve a few techniques. One of the most powerful is paraphrasing.
Paraphrasing? Like repeating back what they said in my own words?
Yes. For example, if someone says, "I'm concerned that this new deadline will be impossible to meet with our current resources," you might paraphrase by saying, "So if I understand correctly, your main concern is that the new deadline is too tight given the resources you have available right now. Is that right?"
Ah, I see. That clarifies things and ensures you've understood correctly. It also gives them a chance to correct you if you've misinterpreted something.
Precisely. It's a sanity check for understanding. Another response technique involves asking clarifying questions. These are questions that prompt the other person to elaborate, rather than just a simple yes or no. Instead of, "Do you need more time?" you might ask, "What specific challenges do you anticipate with the current timeline?"
That's a great distinction. It encourages them to share more detail, rather than just shutting down the conversation.
And that's exactly what we want in a negotiation. More information, more understanding. A third response technique is summarizing. This is particularly useful at the end of a discussion or a key point. You might say, "So, to recap, we've established that you're concerned about the staffing levels, and I've noted that the current proposal doesn't account for your team's onboarding time. Do I have that right?"
Summarizing pulls everything together and makes sure everyone is on the same page. It's like putting all the puzzle pieces in place and looking at the whole picture.
Exactly. And by using these techniques, paying attention, empathizing, paraphrasing, asking clarifying questions, and summarizing, you're not just listening. You're actively participating in the conversation in a way that deepens understanding. Active listening is how you continually refine your preparation during the negotiation itself.
It sounds like it can also help defuse tense situations. If someone feels like they're being truly listened to, they're less likely to become defensive, right?
Absolutely. Imagine you're negotiating a contract and the other party is outlining their concerns. If you interrupt, dismiss their points, or just wait for your turn to present your counterargument, they're likely to feel unheard and become more rigid. But if you listen attentively, acknowledge their concerns with empathy, and ask clarifying questions, you build trust and rapport. This creates a more collaborative atmosphere, making them more open to finding solutions together.
So, active listening is a bridge builder. It helps you understand their underlying interests, which might be different from their stated positions.
That's a fantastic point, Lisa, and it's a core concept in negotiation. People often state positions, "I need X dollars," but their underlying interest might be security, recognition, or a fair deal. Active listening helps you peel back those layers to understand the why behind their position. For instance, their position might be a demand for a specific price, but their underlying interest could be about feeling valued or ensuring the longevity of the partnership.
And by understanding those deeper interests, you can often find more creative ways to meet them, even if it's not exactly what they initially asked for.
Precisely. Perhaps you can't meet their exact price demand, but you could offer extended payment terms, additional services, or a longer-term commitment that addresses their underlying need for security. Active listening uncovers these possibilities. It's about hearing the unspoken needs as much as the spoken words.
So, to recap for our listeners, active listening in negotiation involves three main components: paying attention with focused awareness and appropriate body language, understanding by seeking to grasp the speaker's message and feelings, and responding thoughtfully through techniques like paraphrasing, asking clarifying questions, and summarizing.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. When you master active listening, you not only avoid misunderstandings, but also uncover hidden opportunities, build stronger relationships, and ultimately, pave the way for more successful and satisfying agreements. It truly is the foundation for understanding what the other party needs, which is essential to reaching any compromise.
It's a skill that requires practice, but the payoff seems enormous. It's about truly connecting with the other person.
Indeed, and it's a skill that will serve you well, not just in formal negotiations, but in all your interactions. Next episode, we'll dive into a foundational negotiation tactic, anchoring. We'll discuss how to set the first impression and influence the perception of value. Welcome back to The Negotiation Edge. Last time, we explored the power of active listening. Today, we tackle anchoring.
Anchoring. It sounds like planting a flag right at the start. So, what exactly is anchoring in negotiation?
Anchoring is making the first offer. This first number acts as a psychological anchor, setting a reference point that influences the rest of the negotiation. Think of it like dropping an anchor from a ship. Everything revolves around that point.
So, if I state my initial price, that's the anchor? Even if someone else was thinking of a different number?
Exactly. Studies show the first number presented has a big effect on the final outcome, even if it's arbitrary. It creates a range, and subsequent offers tend to cluster around it. It's like seeing a shirt for $200, then another for $50. The $50 shirt seems like a bargain, even if it's more than you plan to spend.
That makes sense. It frames our perception of value. So, should we always be the ones anchoring?
Generally, yes. If you're well prepared, making the first offer gives you an advantage. You set the upper limit of what's acceptable or the lower limit of what you'll pay. For example, if the typical salary is $70,000 to $80,000, anchoring at $78,000 signals your expectation and subtly pushes for a higher offer.
So, setting a positive expectation for yourself. But what if you don't know the other party's position or the true value? Is it still wise to go first?
That's where preparation comes in. You need to understand market rates and your own needs. If you truly have no idea, it might be safer to gather information first. But if you have a solid understanding, anchoring is usually best. It's about controlling the narrative from the start.
Okay, so setting the first anchor is usually good. How do we do it effectively? Is it just about throwing out a big number?
Not just a big number, but a well-researched, justifiable number. Your anchor should be ambitious, but possible, something you can defend. If you're negotiating a car's price, you wouldn't anchor at twice its worth, but you also wouldn't anchor at your absolute lowest price. You'd anchor towards the higher end of the acceptable range. Aim for the stars, knowing landing on the moon is still great.
Ah, balancing ambition with realism. And the way we present it matters, right?
Absolutely. Confidence is key. State your offer clearly and firmly. Avoid hesitant language like, I was thinking maybe around $50,000, but I could be persuaded. Instead, try, based on my research and the value I bring, my offer for this position is $65,000.
That's powerful. So, we've covered setting an anchor. But what if the other party anchors first?
That's crucial. You can acknowledge their anchor, but immediately set your own counter anchor or reframe theirs. Say, I understand your offer is X. However, in my experience and considering Y, I believe a more appropriate figure would be Z. You acknowledge their anchor, but challenge it and propose a new one.
So, you don't just accept their number and work from there. You push back.
Precisely. You can also ask for justification. Can you help me understand how you arrived at that figure? This forces them to defend their anchor. Another strategy is to simply state their offer is outside the range you were considering and discuss a mutually beneficial range. Don't let their anchor dictate everything.
It sounds like dealing with a counteranchor requires mental agility. Are there any pitfalls?
Definitely. One pitfall is anchoring too high or too low, making it unreasonable and damaging your credibility. If you anchor too high when selling, a buyer might walk away. If you anchor too low when negotiating salary, an employer might think you lack confidence. Another pitfall is anchoring too early without enough information, setting yourself up poorly.
So, it's a delicate balance. Ambitious, but grounded in reality. To recap, anchoring is making the first offer to set a reference point. It's often advantageous for the prepared negotiator to make this first move, setting an ambitious, yet justifiable figure. If the other side anchors first, we can challenge it by re-anchoring or asking for justification.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Skillfully using anchoring influences the direction and outcome of your negotiations. You're not just reacting, you're proactively shaping the landscape. Remember, the first impression in negotiation is powerful.
It's like setting the stage for the entire play. You've given us a fantastic understanding of anchoring today, Alex. It really empowers negotiators.
And that control is vital. Next time, we explore concession strategies, the art of giving and getting, and how to navigate adjustments to reach an agreement.
Concession strategies. That sounds like it builds directly on anchoring.
It certainly does. Looking forward to it. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Negotiation Edge. Last time, we explored the power of anchoring and setting the first impression. Today, we're tackling concession strategies, the art of giving and getting.
The art of giving and getting. I like that, Alex. It sounds like a delicate dance. We've set our anchor, and now it's time to start moving, but how do we do it without giving away too much?
Exactly, Lisa. It's about making concessions strategically. A concession isn't just giving something up, it's a tool to move the negotiation forward in your favor. Think of it as a calculated step, not a surrender.
So, it's not just about reducing your initial demand. It's about what you get in return for that reduction.
Precisely. The fundamental principle is reciprocity. When you give something, you create an opportunity for something to be given back. This is why preparation is so vital. Before you make a concession, you need to know what's truly important to you and what's less so.
So that ties back to our episode on strategic preparation. We need to know our priorities before we start negotiating or conceding.
Absolutely. Identify your must-haves, your would-like-to-haves, and your nice-to-haves. Then, consider what is most valuable to you versus what might be relatively easy for you to give up, but still has significant perceived value for the other party. This is where understanding their needs becomes incredibly important.
So, if I want to negotiate a higher salary, my must-have might be a significant raise, but maybe a would-like-to-have is more vacation days. And if giving up one extra vacation day is easy for the company, but feels quite valuable to me, that's a good potential concession point.
That's a perfect example, Lisa. You've identified something that holds value for you, but is less costly for them to grant. Now, how do you package that concession? You don't just say, okay, fine, I'll take less pay.
Oh, that sounds like leaving value on the table. So, what's the better way?
You frame it. You make the concession deliberately and highlight what you're giving. For instance, I understand that my initial salary request might be challenging right now. However, I'm really committed to this role. To move forward, I could adjust my request if we can also finalize the additional vacation time we discussed.
So, you explicitly state what you're giving up, the adjustment in your request, and what you expect in return, the extra vacation. You're making it clear that this concession comes with a condition.
Exactly. This is often referred to as a conditional concession. It's not an unconditional surrender of your position. It's a trade. And when you make a concession, it's often more effective to make it in smaller increments. Large, sweeping concessions can signal that your initial position was not well considered or that you're desperate.
Smaller concessions, given strategically, also give you more room to negotiate. You can make a few small trades rather than one big one.
Right. And this brings us to the idea of yielding. When you make a concession, you are yielding on a particular point. It's important to do this thoughtfully, showing it's a considered move, not a capitulation. You might say, given your concerns about X, I'm willing to adjust my proposal on Y.
It signals flexibility on your part, which can encourage the other side to be flexible too. But what if they don't reciprocate? What if they take our concession and don't offer anything back?
That's a critical question. One strategy is to use the must-them approach. You make a concession, then you state your expectation or request for their concession, and then you pause. Silence can be a powerful tool. It creates space for them to respond.
So you give, you state what you want in return, and then you wait for them to give. It almost puts the ball back in their court.
It does. And if they still don't offer something, you can refer back to your concession. You might say, I made that adjustment to help us move closer. What adjustments can you make from your side? You're reminding them of the spirit of reciprocity.
I can see how that would be effective. It's not aggressive, but it's firm. It reminds them that this is a two-way street.
Another important aspect is flagging concessions. Sometimes, when you give something up, you want to acknowledge it and make sure the other party understands its value. You wouldn't want them to overlook a significant concession you made. You can do this by saying something like, to help us bridge this gap on the delivery timeline, I'm willing to absorb the expedited shipping costs.
So, you're not just absorbing the cost, you're also verbally acknowledging that you're taking on this extra expense for their benefit.
Precisely. And when you're receiving concessions, it's equally important to acknowledge them. When the other side gives you something, say, thank you, I appreciate that concession. That moves us closer. This reinforces their positive behavior and makes them more likely to offer concessions in the future. It builds goodwill.
It seems like so much of negotiation is about communication and how you frame things, not just the numbers themselves.
Absolutely. Let's summarize what we've discussed about concession strategies. First, thorough preparation is key. Know your priorities and what you're willing to trade. Second, make concessions strategically and conditionally, always seeking something in return. Third, consider making concessions in smaller increments rather than large ones. Fourth, use the must-them approach and don't be afraid of strategic pauses. And finally, always acknowledge both your own concessions and those of the other party to foster reciprocity.
That's a great rundown, Alex. So, to recap, concession is not just about giving things away, it's about intelligent trading. It's about understanding what you value, what they value, and using that knowledge to make strategic moves that bring you closer to an agreement, all while maintaining momentum and ensuring the other party feels heard and respected.
You've got it, Lisa. And this ability to strategically give and take is crucial. It's what allows you to move past sticking points and find mutually beneficial solutions. It's a foundational skill for any successful negotiator.
It really is. And it's something I think anyone can develop with practice and by remembering these principles.
Indeed. So, to recap our key takeaways for concession strategies: preparation, conditional concessions, incremental giving, the power of the pause, and acknowledging every move builds trust. These are the building blocks for making progress when things get tough.
And that leads us nicely into our next episode, where we'll tackle how to handle those tough moments head on.
That's right. Next episode, we'll be delving into handling objections, turning a no into a yes, or at least into a maybe later, by understanding and addressing concerns effectively. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Negotiation Edge. Last time, we explored the crucial art of concessions.
Absolutely, Alex. We learned that concessions aren't just about giving things away, but about strategic trade-offs. Now, I'm bracing myself because today we're tackling something that can feel like hitting a brick wall, handling objections.
Exactly, Lisa. Objections are an inevitable part of any negotiation. They're not necessarily a sign of failure, but rather a signal that something needs further discussion or clarification. Think of them as opportunities, not roadblocks.
Opportunities? That's a great way to reframe it. My immediate reaction when I hear an objection is often a little bit of panic. I start wondering if I've missed something or if the other party is completely against my proposal.
And that's a very natural human response. But the key is to learn how to manage that initial reaction and approach objections with a clear, strategic mindset. So, what exactly is an objection in negotiation terms?
Well, it's when the other party expresses a doubt, a disagreement, or a reluctance to accept your proposal or a part of it. It could be about the price, the terms, the timeline, the feasibility, anything.
Precisely. And often, an objection isn't just about the stated reason. There can be underlying concerns or unspoken needs. This is where our active listening skills, which we talked about earlier, become incredibly important.
Oh, I remember. Listening to understand, not just to reply. So, when an objection comes up, the first step is to really hear what's being said and perhaps what's not being said.
Exactly. Before you even think about responding, you need to fully understand the objection. This often involves asking clarifying questions. You might say, "Could you tell me a bit more about that?" Or what specifically concerns you regarding the delivery timeline?
So, instead of jumping in with a defense, I should ask for more information? That feels much less confrontational.
It absolutely is. And by asking clarifying questions, you achieve a few things. Firstly, you show the other party that you value their perspective and are taking their concerns seriously. This builds rapport. Secondly, you get a clearer picture of their true needs or fears, which might be different from the surface level objection. And thirdly, you gain valuable time to formulate a thoughtful response rather than a reactive one.
Okay, so step one, listen and clarify. What comes after that? Assuming we understand the objection better, what's the best way to address it directly?
This is where we move into acknowledgement and reframing. Acknowledge their concern to show empathy. Phrases like, "I understand why you would be concerned about X," or "That's a valid point about Y," can go a long way.
So, validate their feeling. That makes sense. It disarms the situation a bit, doesn't it?
It really does. It shifts the dynamic from an adversarial one to a collaborative one. Once acknowledged, the next step is often reframing. This means presenting the objection or the situation from a different, more positive angle, highlighting the benefits or solutions.
Can you give us an example of reframing?
Certainly, imagine a client says, "Your proposed price is much higher than I expected." An acknowledgement might be, "I understand that budget is a significant consideration." A reframe, followed by evidence, could be, "While the upfront cost is higher, this solution offers a significant long-term cost saving through reduced maintenance and increased efficiency, which often outweighs the initial investment." We've seen clients save an average of 15% in operational costs within the first year.
Ah, I see. You're not dismissing the price objection, but you're shifting the focus to the value and the long-term benefits that justify that price. You're turning a potential deal breaker into a reason for the deal.
Exactly. Now, there are common objections that pop up frequently in negotiations. One is the price too high objection we just touched on. Another is, "I need time to think about it."
Oh, I need time to think about it. Always feels like a polite brush off to me.
It can be, but it can also be genuine. The key is to probe gently. You could ask, "That's perfectly understandable. What specifically would you like more time to consider?" This helps uncover if there's a specific detail they're unsure about, or if they might be looking for a better offer elsewhere.
So, we're trying to help them clarify their own thinking or at least pinpoint the exact reason for the delay.
Precisely. Another common one is, we've always done it this way. This objection often stems from comfort with the status quo and a fear of the unknown.
That sounds like it requires a bit of gentle persuasion and perhaps highlighting the innovation or improvement your proposal brings.
Absolutely. You'd acknowledge the comfort of familiarity, then carefully illustrate the advantages of your new approach. Perhaps demonstrate how it can streamline existing processes, reduce errors, or open up new opportunities. It's about showing them that the status quo, while comfortable, might not be the most effective or beneficial path forward.
So, we've talked about listening, clarifying, acknowledging, and reframing. What happens if the objection is based on misinformation?
That's a great question, Lisa. This is where providing accurate information and clarifying misconceptions is vital. You need to directly, but politely, correct the misinformation. For instance, if someone misunderstands a feature of your product, you can say, I can see why you might think that based on X. However, this particular feature actually does Y, which can help you achieve Z. Let me explain that in more detail.
It's about educating them, showing them the correct facts without making them feel foolish for being mistaken.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance. You want to be informative and confident, but not condescending. Remember, the goal is to find common ground and move toward an agreement. Now, let's summarize what we've learned about handling objections. It's a multi-step process.
First, listen actively and ask clarifying questions to fully understand the objection. Don't interrupt.
Second, acknowledge and validate their concern. Show empathy and let them know you've heard them.
Third, reframe the objection. This means looking at it from a different perspective, often by highlighting benefits or solutions that address their underlying fear.
And finally, if necessary, provide accurate information to correct any misconceptions, always aiming for clarity and collaboration. By treating objections as opportunities to deepen understanding and demonstrate value, we can turn potential points of conflict into pathways toward successful agreement.
It really demystifies the process. Instead of dreading objections, we can see them as necessary steps in a productive negotiation. That's incredibly empowering.
It is. Mastering objection handling is key to building confidence and achieving your negotiation goals. Next episode, salary negotiations, earning your worth.
Fantastic. So, join us next time as we put these objection handling skills to the test in the realm of earning your worth.
Welcome back. Last time, we dove deep into handling objections, turning roadblocks into stepping stones. Today, we're tackling salary negotiations.
Salary negotiations. That phrase can make some people's palms sweat. But Alex, you've stressed that negotiation is a skill. How do we apply what we've learned to this important area?
Exactly, Lisa. The core principles remain the same. Our episode on strategic preparation is foundational. You need to do your homework. Research salary ranges for your role, location, and company size. Websites, industry reports, and networking are invaluable.
So, it's about knowing market value, not just what you think you deserve.
Precisely. You're building your case on objective data, like understanding a house's value before selling. You need to know your market value.
And remember, identifying your walkaway point and ideal outcome? Does that apply here?
Absolutely. Knowing your minimum acceptable salary, your walkaway point, is crucial. This is the lowest figure you'd accept. Likewise, knowing your ideal or target salary, backed by research, is what you'll aim for.
How does anchoring impact salary talks?
Anchoring is incredibly powerful. Often, the employer asks for your salary expectations first. If you state your number too low, you've anchored downward. Too high and unreasonable, and you might price yourself out.
So, should we always let them go first?
Ideally, yes. If they ask early, a good strategy is to defer. You can say, I'm still learning about the full scope of the role and total compensation. I'm confident we can reach an agreement once we discuss those details. What is the budgeted range for this position? This puts the ball back in their court,
That's a great way to handle it. It shows you're thoughtful.
right? Now, if you do provide a number, offer a range, not a single point, and anchor high within your researched, justifiable range. For example, if research shows $70,000 to $80,000 and your target is $78,000, you might state, based on my research, I'm looking for a salary in the $75,000 to $80,000 range, with my target being around $78,000. This anchors high.
That's smart. You show research, anchor high, but offer flexibility.
Now, handling common employer responses. You might hear, that's above our budget, or this is what we typically pay.
How do we navigate those without feeling shut down?
Revisit preparation and active listening. If it's above budget, ask about other compensation elements, bonuses, vacation, development. You're shifting focus to total compensation. Gently reiterate your value, referencing skills and accomplishments that align with company goals.
So, you explore other avenues and remind them of your worth.
Precisely. It's about confidently stating your value based on skills, experience, and market. If they say, this is what we typically pay, you could say, I understand and I appreciate the company's commitment to fair compensation. Given my specific experience in mention key skill and my proven track record in mention achievement, I believe my contributions warrant a salary at the higher end of that spectrum.
It sounds like a balance between being agreeable and firm about your value.
Exactly. The goal is a win-win. You want fair compensation, and they want a valuable employee. If salary alone is an impasse, consider the entire package. A slightly lower base might be acceptable if offset by great benefits or growth opportunities.
And to reiterate from episode 6 on handling objections, when they present a reason they can't meet your request, explore that reason and look for creative solutions.
Absolutely. Being prepared, knowing your worth, anchoring strategically, and handling objections skillfully are the pillars of successful salary negotiations. Approach the conversation with confidence, backed by solid research.
So, to recap, do thorough research to understand market value. Know your minimum and target salaries. Try to defer or anchor high within a researched range. If you encounter objections, explore total compensation and reiterate your unique value.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Salary negotiation is a critical skill, and with practice, you can improve your outcomes.
Fantastic. What's next on our journey?
Next time, we'll broaden our scope to everyday negotiations. It's woven into the fabric of our daily lives. Welcome back. Last time, we covered salary negotiations, focusing on earning your worth. Today, we're broadening our horizons. We'll explore how negotiation is a powerful tool for everyday life.
That's right, Alex. It's easy to think of negotiation as something reserved for business bigwigs or extreme situations. But the truth is, we're negotiating all the time, often without even realizing it. From deciding where to go for dinner to that little back and forth at the grocery store, it's all negotiation.
Exactly, Lisa. And the principles we've discussed throughout this series, preparation, active listening, anchoring, and concession strategies, are incredibly useful in these everyday scenarios. Think about it. When you're planning a weekend trip with friends, isn't there an element of negotiation involved in choosing the destination and activities?
Absolutely. And if you don't approach it strategically, you can end up with someone feeling resentful or a trip that nobody truly enjoys. So, how do we apply those core skills to something as simple as grocery shopping?
Well, even there are opportunities. While you can't always negotiate prices, you can often negotiate for better quality or quantity. Imagine you're at a farmer's market. You see some beautiful but slightly bruised apples. You might say to the vendor, "These look delicious, but I noticed a few marks." Would you be willing to offer them at a slightly lower price, knowing I'm buying them as they are?
That's a great example of identifying a slight imperfection and offering a reason for a concession. The vendor might say, "Sure, I can knock $1 off that bag for you." You've just successfully negotiated a better price by acknowledging a perceived flaw. It's a small win, but it's a win.
It is. And this extends to service providers. Think about your internet bill, your phone plan, or even a car repair. These are all areas ripe for negotiation. Let's take your internet bill, for instance. Many people just accept the price their provider sets. But what if you called them?
I've heard people do this. They'll call up their provider, say they're thinking of switching to a competitor because the price is too high, and magically, the provider offers them a new, lower rate.
Precisely. That's an anchor of the competitor's offer and a clear concession request. You're stating your desired outcome, a lower price, and providing a reason. Even if you're not actually planning to switch, the threat of switching can be a powerful tool. You're essentially saying, "I know my value, and I'm not willing to overpay."
So, it's about being informed and being willing to ask. Even if they say no, you haven't lost anything. But if they say yes, you've saved money.
Exactly. And this principle applies to less obvious situations like household chores. Let's say you and your partner or roommates have a system for dividing chores, but it's not quite working. One person feels they're doing more than their fair share,
Yes. The classic who takes out the trash or who scrubs the bathroom debate.
right? Instead of letting resentment build, you can approach it as a negotiation. You could say, "Hey, I've been noticing that the kitchen cleanup feels a bit uneven lately. I'm happy to take on the dishes if you're okay with handling the grocery shopping for the week." How does that sound?
That's a constructive way to frame it. You're not complaining. You're proposing a new division of labor that considers everyone's preferences, perhaps. I might hate grocery shopping, but love doing dishes.
And that's the beauty of it. You're looking for a win-win. You're not demanding, you're discussing. You're offering a concession, taking on a chore you might not love, in exchange for them taking on a chore they might feel is more manageable. It's about finding that balance.
It's interesting how many of the core negotiation principles we've covered come into play here. Active listening is crucial. You need to understand how the other person feels about the current arrangement. Preparation might involve thinking about which chores you truly dislike least and which you'd be willing to take on. And concessions are naturally part of finding a solution that works for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And remember anchoring? Even in a casual setting, the first proposal can set the tone. If you're deciding on a restaurant and I say, "I was thinking Thai food tonight, maybe around 7, that sets an anchor. If you then say, "Thai sounds good. How about that new place on Elm Street?" And maybe 7:30, so we have time to relax beforehand. You're building on my anchor, refining it slightly.
It's like a negotiation dance. You make a move and the other person responds, and you both inch closer to an agreement. And even handling objections comes up. If I said, "I'm not really in the mood for Thai tonight," your response could be, "Okay, no problem. What cuisine are you leaning towards?" You're not shutting down the conversation. You're addressing my objection and seeking to understand.
Exactly. It's about being flexible and solution-oriented. Now, let's briefly touch on workplace negotiations that aren't about salary. Think about asking for flexibility in your work schedule. You might want to work remotely a couple of days a week, or adjust your start and end times.
This is a big one for many people. How do you approach that without sounding like you're just trying to slack off?
Preparation is key here. You need to demonstrate how this change will benefit your employer, not just you. You could prepare data showing your productivity when working remotely, or explain how adjusting your hours will allow you to be more available during peak client times. You're essentially presenting a business case.
So, instead of saying, "I want to work from home," it's more like, "I've found that when I have a quieter environment at home, I can focus more deeply on Project X, leading to faster completion." I'd like to propose working remotely on Tuesdays and Thursdays to leverage this focus.
Perfect. You're focusing on the benefits, you're addressing potential concerns before they're even raised, and you're proposing a specific, measurable outcome. You're showing confidence in your ability to deliver, and you're asking them to trust your judgment. This is also where building rapport, our topic for episode 10, becomes incredibly important. Having a good working relationship can make these requests far smoother.
It makes sense. The more that person trusts you and believes you're committed to your role, the more likely they are to consider your request. So, to recap, we've seen that negotiation isn't just for formal settings. It's about strategic communication, active listening, and finding mutually beneficial solutions in everyday interactions. From getting a better deal on groceries, to managing household responsibilities, to requesting flexible work arrangements, the skills we're honing on the negotiation edge are truly applicable everywhere.
And remember, the more you practice these skills in low-stakes situations, the more confident and adept you'll become when those higher-stakes negotiations arise. It's about building that negotiation muscle day by day.
This has been so eye-opening, Alex. It really demystifies negotiation and makes it feel much more accessible.
It absolutely should. And speaking of staying calm under pressure, that's exactly what we're going to explore in our next episode. We'll be diving into the crucial element of emotional intelligence in negotiation.
Fantastic. Join us next time for our episode on emotional intelligence in negotiation.
Welcome back to the Negotiation Edge. Last time, we looked at handling objections. Now, let's focus on emotional intelligence for staying calm under pressure.
That's a crucial topic, Alex. Negotiations can get intense, and emotions can easily derail things. What exactly is emotional intelligence in this context?
Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is about understanding and managing your own emotions and also understanding and influencing the emotions of others. In negotiation, high EQ helps you navigate difficult moments without losing control. It's about making rational decisions and building connections.
So, it's not just strategy, but also managing yourself and being aware of the other person's feelings?
Exactly. We can break EQ down into key parts. The first is self-awareness, recognizing your own emotions as they happen. What are you feeling and why?
That sounds hard when you're in the middle of a tough situation and feeling pressure.
Precisely. Self-awareness is the foundation. If you don't know you're frustrated, you can't manage it. Practice pausing and asking yourself what emotion you're noticing. Physical cues, like a clenched jaw, can signal tension. Acknowledge these early signals.
Okay, so self-awareness helps identify the feeling. What's next?
Self-regulation is the next step. This is managing those emotions. It's about choosing your response, not reacting impulsively. If you feel frustrated, self-regulation means not lashing out. It means choosing to breathe, restate your understanding, or ask for a moment.
So, instead of saying something you'll regret, you respond thoughtfully. How do you do that?
A technique is the pause and reframe. When an unhelpful emotion rises, consciously pause. Take a slow breath. Then, reframe the situation. Instead of "this person is provoking me," try "this person is highlighting a concern I need to address." This shifts from defensiveness to problem solving. Counting to 10 mentally before speaking also helps your rational brain catch up.
I like that. The pause and reframe. It's about consciously choosing your response. So, self-awareness and self-regulation. What's left?
The third component of emotional intelligence is empathy, understanding and sharing the feelings of others. In negotiation, this means seeing the situation from the other party's perspective. What are their concerns, motivations, and pressures?
Empathy is so important. It's easy to get stuck on our own needs. but understanding where the other person is coming from turns a battle into a conversation.
Exactly. Empathy helps you respond with compassion, even without agreement. It builds trust and rapport. When someone feels understood, they're more open. You're finding a solution that works for both. This connects to active listening. Empathetic listening means understanding the emotions behind the words.
Self-awareness helps me understand my emotions, self-regulation manages them, and empathy helps me understand the other person. They sound like they work together.
You've got it. They are interconnected. When you're self-aware, you can better regulate. Empathy can help regulate your own feelings by shifting focus outwards. This approach lets you stay calm and rational, making better decisions.
Negotiating something like salary can be pressure-filled. How do these EQ skills help there?
In salary talks, you might feel anxious if an offer is low. Self-awareness recognizes that anxiety. Self-regulation means not protesting angrily. You might say, "Thank you for the offer. Could we discuss how this figure was determined?" That's a calm response. Empathy considers the hiring manager's budget constraints. You approach it collaboratively, explaining your value while understanding their limits.
It sounds like turning confrontational moments into collaborative problem solving.
That's the goal. When emotions are high, people resist. Our fight or flight response kicks in. EQ disarms that. It creates a space for productive conversation. Negotiation is human. People decide with logic and emotion. Ignoring emotion is a mistake.
So, to recap, emotional intelligence in negotiation involves self-awareness, understanding your emotions, self-regulation, managing them for thoughtful responses, and empathy, understanding the other party's emotions and perspective.
Precisely. The benefit? Better decisions, stronger relationships, and more successful outcomes. It's not about being emotionless, but emotionally aware and in control.
It sounds like a superpower for negotiators.
It truly is, and it's a skill that can be developed. Practice being more mindful of your emotional responses in everyday interactions. Notice what triggers you, how you feel, and how you respond. You'll build that EQ muscle.
Fantastic advice. Mastering our emotions is as vital as mastering strategy.
Absolutely. Next episode, building rapport and creating connection for collaboration.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time, we explored emotional intelligence in negotiation. Now let's talk about building rapport.
Rapport.
That word always makes me think of a great connection, a feeling of understanding. But how does that fit into the structured world of negotiation, Alex? Isn't negotiation sometimes about being firm, even a little bit tough?
That's a fantastic question, Lisa, and it gets to the heart of it. Many people see negotiation as a battle, a zero-sum game where one person wins and the other loses. But the most effective, sustainable negotiations are collaborative. And the secret ingredient to collaboration? Rapport. Building a genuine connection and trust with the other party can shift the entire dynamic from adversarial to cooperative.
So, it's about making the other person like you, or at least feel comfortable with you.
Exactly. Think about it this way. When you feel a connection with someone, you're more likely to trust them, to be open with them, and to want to find solutions that work for both of you. It's like having a conversation with a friend versus a stranger you've just met. You're naturally more disposed to understanding and compromise with that friend. Rapport creates that friendly atmosphere, even when discussing serious matters.
That makes sense. So, what are some practical ways we can build this rapport during a negotiation? Are there specific techniques?
Absolutely. One of the most powerful techniques is finding common ground. This means actively looking for shared interests, values, or experiences. It could be something as simple as discovering you both have children who attend the same school, or that you're both fans of the same obscure historical period.
Oh, I can see how that would instantly create a more relaxed vibe. Instead of focusing on the sticking points, you're highlighting what you have in common.
Precisely. And it's not just about stating the common ground. It's about showing genuine interest. When you discover a shared interest, ask follow-up questions. Show that you're curious and that you value that connection. This demonstrates that you see the other person as more than just an opponent. You see them as an individual.
So, it's a form of active listening, but with the goal of finding those points of similarity?
You've got it. Active listening is fundamental to building rapport. We talked about this in an earlier episode, remember? When you truly listen, not just to respond, but to understand, you pick up on nuances on what's important to the other person. This understanding can then guide you toward finding those shared interests. It's about being present and attentive.
And how do we keep that positive atmosphere going, especially if things start to get a little tense?
This is where mirroring and matching can be incredibly effective, but it requires sensitivity. Mirroring is subtly adopting some of the nonverbal cues of the other person, their posture, their tone of voice, their pace of speaking, without being obvious or mimicking.
Like if they lean forward, you might also lean forward slightly?
Exactly. Or if they speak in a more measured, calm tone, you'd also adopt a similar pacing and tone. This subconscious alignment creates a feeling of being in sync, of understanding each other on a deeper level. It signals, I'm with you, I'm on your wavelength.
I can see how that would foster a sense of connection without being overtly ingratiating. It feels natural.
It does. And matching goes a step further by reflecting their language and their interests. If they use certain key phrases or express enthusiasm for a particular aspect of the discussion, you can subtly incorporate those into your own responses, showing you've understood and appreciated their perspective.
So, it's like saying, I hear you, and I'm engaging with what you're saying on your terms.
Precisely. Another key element is demonstrating empathy. Even if you can't agree with their position, you can acknowledge and validate their feelings. Phrases like, I understand why you feel that way, or it makes sense that this is frustrating for you, can go a long way.
That's powerful. It validates their emotions without necessarily conceding your own position. It shows you respect their perspective, even if you don't share it.
Absolutely. Validation is a critical bridge builder. It de-escalates tension and shows that you're not just focused on winning, but on understanding the other person's experience.
So, to recap so far, we've talked about finding common ground, the importance of active listening, and using techniques like mirroring and matching to create a sense of being in sync, and then demonstrating empathy to validate their feelings.
That's a great summary, Lisa. And remember, the goal isn't to manipulate or deceive. Genuine rapport comes from a sincere desire to connect and collaborate. The more authentic you are, the more effective these techniques will be. People can sense insincerity.
And what about the atmosphere of the negotiation itself? Does that play a role?
It absolutely does. Creating a positive and comfortable negotiation environment is crucial. This can involve choosing a neutral and comfortable meeting space, offering refreshments, and starting with light, non-contentious conversation, what we call small talk, but with a purpose.
Right? Not just wasting time, but using that initial chat to build that connection.
Exactly. It sets a more relaxed tone and allows both parties to ease into the discussion. And throughout the negotiation, it's important to maintain a positive and respectful demeanor. Even when disagreements arise, keeping your tone friendly and open can prevent the conversation from devolving into conflict.
It sounds like building rapport is essential for moving beyond a simple transaction to a true collaboration. It's about building trust, which then opens the door for more creative solutions.
Precisely. When you have rapport, you can explore options more freely. You're more likely to brainstorm together, to think outside the box, because you trust that the other party has your best interests at heart, just as you hopefully have theirs. This is the foundation for achieving those coveted win-win outcomes we'll discuss next time.
So, building rapport isn't just a nice to have, it's a fundamental strategy for successful, collaborative negotiation. It's about fostering connection and understanding.
That's the essence of it. By actively listening, finding common ground, demonstrating empathy, and creating a positive atmosphere, you can transform a negotiation from a potential confrontation into an opportunity for mutual benefit. It truly unlocks the door to collaboration.
Fantastic. So, if you're looking to improve your negotiation skills, remember to focus on building that connection.
Next episode, we'll explore how to achieve win-win outcomes, which is where the real magic of negotiation happens. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to The Negotiation Edge. Last time, we explored the crucial art of building rapport, creating connections for smoother collaborations. Now, we're diving into what truly defines a successful negotiation, achieving win-win outcomes.
Win-win outcomes. It sounds great, Alex, but in practice, it often feels like a tug of war. One person wins, the other might not lose outright, but they don't feel like a victor. So, how do we actually shift that dynamic?
That's precisely the core of today's conversation, Lisa. We're moving away from the idea of negotiation as a battle, a zero-sum game where one party's gain is another's loss. Instead, we're focusing on integrative bargaining. Think of it as expanding the pie before you divide it.
Expanding the pie. I like that analogy. So, it's not just about how to get the biggest slice for yourself, but how to make the pie itself bigger for everyone involved.
Exactly. A win-win outcome means both parties leave the negotiation feeling satisfied, they've achieved their core objectives, and crucially, their long-term relationship isn't just preserved, it's potentially strengthened. This is the true measure of successful negotiation. When you can walk away knowing both sides are better off, or at least equally satisfied, that's the peak.
And how do we identify when a win-win is even possible? Sometimes it feels like our interests are diametrically opposed.
That's where effective preparation and understanding the other side's underlying interests come into play. Remember our early episodes on preparation? This is where that groundwork truly pays off. It's not enough to know what you want. You need to understand why you want it, and then try to understand why they want what they want. Often, interests, not just positions, are compatible.
So, a position is what someone says they want, like, I want a 10% raise. But their underlying interest might be financial security, recognition, or the ability to afford a new home.
Precisely. And if we can address those underlying interests, we open up a world of possibilities. If your interest is financial security, maybe a salary increase isn't the only way. Perhaps a bonus structure, increased vacation time, or professional development opportunities could also meet that need.
And if the other party's interest is, say, team cohesion or project success, and my position is to have sole control over a project, a win-win might involve a collaborative approach where we share leadership and leverage each other's strengths.
You're getting it. So, the first step in achieving win-win is identifying shared interests. These are the common grounds, the things both parties value. It could be efficiency, long-term stability, customer satisfaction, or even just a good working relationship.
And once we've spotted those shared interests, then what? How do we creatively explore solutions?
This is where we move from simply discussing interests to generating options. Brainstorming is key here. Without judgment, list every conceivable option that might address the identified interests for both parties. Don't filter anything at this stage. Sometimes the wildest ideas can spark the most practical solutions.
So, we're not just looking at the things we initially brought to the table. We're opening up the possibility of entirely new solutions.
Absolutely. Think about it like this. Imagine you're negotiating the sale of a house. Your position might be, I want $500,000. Their position might be, we'll pay $450,000. The simple win-lose would be haggling between those. But the win-win approach looks at interests. Your interest might be to sell quickly, and theirs might be to ensure the house is move-in ready without major immediate repairs.
Ah, so instead of just fighting over the price, we could explore solutions like the seller agreeing to fix the roof or the buyer agreeing to a slightly faster closing date.
Exactly. Or perhaps the seller offers to leave some furniture, or the buyer offers a small performance bond for an agreed-upon period. By understanding the underlying needs, speed for you, reduced immediate cost, and no immediate repairs for them, you can creatively adjust the terms. This is integrative bargaining in action.
It really emphasizes that negotiation is a problem-solving process, not just a battle of wills.
Precisely. And a critical element of this problem solving is being objective. We need to evaluate the options based on fair, objective standards. This could be market value, industry benchmarks, legal requirements, or expert opinions. This ensures that the agreement reached is not just satisfactory, but also justifiable.
So we're not just making things up as we go along. We're grounding our creative solutions in something solid?
Yes, this prevents either party from feeling like they've been railroaded into an unfair deal. It provides a sense of legitimacy to the outcome. Remember when we talked about anchoring? While anchoring can set a starting point, a win-win outcome means we're not rigidly stuck there. We use objective standards to move towards a mutually beneficial agreement.
So, to recap for our listeners, achieving win-win outcomes involves a shift in mindset from a win-lose battle to a collaborative problem-solving approach. It starts with deep preparation to understand not just demands, but the underlying interests of all parties. Then we identify shared interests, those common grounds that can serve as the foundation for agreement.
And from there, we engage in creative option generation. This means brainstorming a wide range of possibilities without initial judgment, looking for solutions that address those identified interests for everyone. Finally, we evaluate these options using objective criteria to ensure the agreement is fair and sustainable.
It sounds like it requires a good deal of emotional intelligence as well, staying calm, being empathetic, and focusing on the problem rather than the personalities.
Absolutely. That's been a running theme throughout this series, especially in episode 9. When emotions are high, it's easy to get defensive and revert to a win-lose mentality. Cultivating that emotional control allows us to keep our focus on the objective, that ideal win-win scenario.
So, the ultimate goal isn't just to get something, but to build something, a stronger relationship, a more robust agreement, and a precedent for future positive interactions.
That's the essence of it. When both parties feel heard, respected, and that their needs have been met, the likelihood of the agreement being honored is significantly higher. It fosters trust and opens the door for even more productive negotiations down the line.
This is such a powerful concept, Alex. Moving beyond personal victory to mutual success. It really redefines negotiation entirely.
It does, and it's a skill that can be honed with practice. So, as we gear up for a final episode, I want you to start thinking about how you can apply this win-win mindset in your own negotiations, whether big or small.
Next episode, Advanced Techniques, BATNA Expansion, and Creative Problem Solving.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back. In our last episode, we explored achieving win-win outcomes. Today, we're diving into advanced strategies.
It's exciting to get to these more advanced techniques, Alex. We've built a strong foundation. How do we push for even better results now?
Exactly, Lisa. It all starts with a deeper understanding of BATNA. Remember, your BATNA is your plan B, your walkaway point. It's your safety net.
Right. The stronger your BATNA, the more power you have. If you have a fantastic other option, you're less likely to accept a bad deal.
Precisely. The advanced technique is not just knowing your BATNA, but actively expanding it. This means looking for ways to make your alternative even better, and, importantly, looking for ways to weaken the other party's BATNA ethically.
That sounds strategic. How do you expand your own BATNA?
First, by gathering more information. The more you know about your other options, the better you can evaluate and improve them. For example, if you're negotiating a salary, your BATNA might be another job offer. Can you improve that offer by asking for more or highlighting your skills? Can you explore other potential job offers? The more options you have, the stronger your negotiating position.
So it's about proactively seeking and enhancing those alternatives before you even get to the table or during if the current path isn't ideal.
Exactly. Another way is by diversifying your resources. If your negotiation is about a specific contract, can you explore different types of contracts or partnerships? Can you bring in new skills or partners that make your alternative more attractive? Think outside the box about what a successful outcome looks like if this specific deal doesn't go through.
It's like building a stronger foundation for yourself, so you're not solely reliant on this one negotiation.
That's a great analogy, Lisa. Now let's flip it. Weakening the other party's BATNA can be very effective, but it needs to be done ethically and collaboratively if you're aiming for win-win. This isn't about sabotage. It's about subtly showing them that their alternatives might not be as great as they think, or helping them see the value of your proposal.
How would you do that without being adversarial?
One way is through careful questioning and information sharing. If you know the other party is considering a particular alternative, you can ask questions that gently highlight potential downsides or challenges they might face with that option. For instance, if they're looking at hiring a new supplier, you might ask about the lead time for that supplier or their capacity to scale.
And by doing that, you're not criticizing their alternative, but prompting them to do their own due diligence and perhaps realize it's not as strong as they initially assumed.
Precisely. You're helping them see the full picture. Another method is by demonstrating the unique value of your proposal, which inherently makes their other options seem less appealing by comparison. If your offer has benefits that their alternatives simply can't match, that indirectly weakens their BATNA.
So, it's about making your offer so compelling that their alternatives start to look less attractive. It's a subtle form of persuasion.
It is. And this leads us perfectly into the second advanced technique, creative problem solving. So often, negotiations get stuck because parties are focused on a single issue or a predictable solution. Creative problem solving breaks that mold. It's about finding entirely new ways to meet the needs of both parties.
I think many people see negotiation as a fixed pie. You either get a bigger slice or you don't.
That's the traditional, often competitive, view. Creative problem solving is about expanding the pie. It involves reframing the problem, brainstorming multiple solutions, and looking for opportunities that might have been overlooked.
How do you actually do that? It sounds a bit abstract.
Let's use an analogy. Imagine you're negotiating the price of a car. The sticking point is the sticker price. A traditional negotiation might involve haggling back and forth on that number. A creative problem-solving approach might involve asking, what else is important here? Maybe the buyer needs a warranty extension, or perhaps they want a specific set of accessories included. The seller might be able to offer those things at a lower cost to them than a discount on the car itself.
I see. So, instead of arguing over the price, you're looking at other negotiable elements that might satisfy both parties.
Exactly. It's about identifying the underlying interests, not just the stated positions. What does the money represent? What does the object represent? Once you understand those deeper interests, you can brainstorm a wider range of solutions.
So, in that car example, the buyer's interest might be peace of mind and value for money, not just the lowest possible sticker price. And the seller's interest is making a sale and perhaps moving inventory.
You've got it. To facilitate this, brainstorming is key. Encourage open discussion, defer judgment, and build on each other's ideas. Sometimes, a solution that seems outlandish at first can spark a brilliant, practical idea when combined with another suggestion. Think yes and rather than no, but
This really emphasizes collaboration, even when you have differing needs.
absolutely. And it relates back to your BATNA. Sometimes creative problem solving can even create new, mutually beneficial outcomes that are better than anyone's original BATNA. It's like discovering a third, even better option that you hadn't considered before.
So, to recap, today we've explored two powerful advanced techniques. First, BATNA expansion, how to strengthen your own best alternative to a negotiated agreement and ethically explore ways to help the other party see fewer advantages in their alternatives. And second, creative problem solving, which is all about looking beyond the obvious solutions to find innovative ways to meet everyone's underlying interests, effectively expanding the pie for a true win-win.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. These techniques require practice, of course, but mastering them will allow you to navigate complex negotiations with greater confidence and achieve more favorable outcomes. They encourage a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity.
It's really empowering to know there are ways to approach negotiations that feel more collaborative and less like a battle.
And the beauty is, the more you practice these, the more natural they become, and the more you'll start to see negotiation as an opportunity for mutual growth. We've covered a lot, and these advanced techniques are fantastic tools. Remember to focus on expanding your BATNA and actively seeking creative solutions.
It's incredible how much this series has prepared us for so many different situations.
It truly is. And in our very next and final episode, we're going to bring it all together. We'll discuss how to integrate everything we've learned and build your own natural negotiator identity, empowering you for continued growth and success. Next episode, building your natural negotiator identity, integration and future growth. Welcome to the final episode of the Negotiation Edge.
And it's been quite a journey, Alex. We've learned so much, from strategic preparation to active listening and mastering concessions. These skills build upon each other.
Absolutely, Lisa. And today, in our 13th and final episode, we're focusing on building your natural negotiator identity. It's about weaving these tools into who you are, so negotiation becomes an authentic expression of your style.
I love that concept, Alex. The goal is to make these skills feel like second nature. So, how do we start integrating everything we've learned into our own unique approach?
The first step is reflection. Think back over the past episodes. Which skills felt most natural to you? Identify those strengths.
So, it's about leaning into what already works for you. I realized how much I enjoyed finding creative solutions, especially when we talked about expanding our options. It felt rewarding to think outside the box.
Exactly. Your natural negotiator identity is the unique blend of skills that best reflects your personality. It's where your innate style meets proven techniques. If you're naturally empathetic, you'll leverage that. If you're a logical thinker, you'll lean into data.
That makes so much sense. It's like developing your own signature negotiation style. And this is an ongoing process, right?
Precisely. Building your identity is about continuous growth. We've covered core strategies, salary negotiations, everyday scenarios, emotional intelligence, rapport building, and advanced problem solving. Now, it's about making that knowledge your own through consistent practice and intentional effort.
When you say intentional effort, what does that look like after we've finished the series?
It means actively seeking opportunities to negotiate, even in small ways. Every interaction is a chance to practice. Ask yourself, what did I do well? What could I have done differently? This self-awareness is crucial.
So, actively reflect on each negotiation. And what if we encounter situations that feel particularly challenging or new?
That's where revisiting our past episodes can be incredibly helpful. Remind yourself of the importance of preparation. Recall the power of active listening. If you're facing an objection, remember how we discussed handling them. You have a whole toolkit.
It's like drawing from a well of knowledge. And beyond just practicing and reviewing, Are there other ways to foster this growth?
Absolutely. Seek feedback from trusted colleagues or mentors. Ask them for their honest observations. Also, be open to learning from others. Observe skilled negotiators around you. What do they do that impresses you?
I've noticed that sometimes just watching a colleague navigate a tricky conversation can teach me so much. And I'm sure that even with all these skills, we'll still face moments where we feel a bit thrown off. How do we maintain that composure we talked about on emotional intelligence?
That's a fantastic point, Lisa. When you feel yourself getting emotional, take a pause. A simple, let me think about that for a moment, can be incredibly powerful. Use your breathing techniques. Remind yourself of your objective and the win-win outcome. Your ability to manage your emotions is a cornerstone of your natural negotiator identity. It shows confidence and control.
It's so true. When you can stay calm and measured, it often de escalates the situation and allows everyone to focus on finding a solution.
Exactly. And remember, a win-win outcome isn't just about a satisfactory deal. It's about maintaining and strengthening relationships. That connection and rapport we discussed, that's what makes long-term success possible. Your natural negotiator identity should reflect a collaborative spirit.
So, to recap for our listeners, building your natural negotiator identity is about reflecting on your strengths, authenticating the skills we've learned, practicing intentionally, seeking feedback, and continuously managing your emotional responses. It's about integrating negotiation into your everyday communication.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. You've got the preparation, the listening skills, the anchoring, concessions, handling objections, salary negotiation advice, everyday negotiation tips, emotional intelligence, rapport building, aiming for win-win, and those advanced techniques.
It's incredible to see how all these pieces fit together. When you truly internalize them, negotiation stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a collaborative problem-solving process.
And that, listeners, is the ultimate goal. To embody a negotiation style that is effective, authentic, and respectful. Your negotiation edge isn't just about getting what you want. It's about building bridges and fostering understanding, all while achieving your objectives.
Thank you, Alex, for walking us through this entire series. It's been incredibly insightful.
The pleasure was all mine, Lisa. And to all our listeners who have joined us on this journey through the negotiation edge, thank you. We hope you feel empowered to step into your natural negotiator identity.
Thanks for listening to the series.